Hello, and welcome to Redirect Yourself. Or if you've been here before, welcome back. So glad you made it. And I realized my last video had quite a few views. I don't check regularly. I'm not in this for the views. I am in it if you go back and watch my original video as to why I created the channel, so that more of us can find ways to cope with the stressors of life. And as a result of finding better ways to cope, we can begin to feel better, maybe more happy. And if there are more happy people in the world, then we will be closer and closer to world peace. I mean, clearly, if we are happier folks, then our relationships are better. The better our relationships are, the more happy we are. And so I'm hoping to do my little part in helping us all do that just a little bit easier. So today, I'm going to talk about beliefs. So, how they work, where they fall into the spectrum of thoughts and feelings. If you are new here, you can go back and watch some of my old videos where I explain where feelings come from and how thoughts relate to our feelings and ways that you can reduce distorted thinking as well as absolute thinking. Feel free to look up any of these words. You can just Google the psychology version. I call them garbage words, but in reality, they are known in the psychological realm as absolute thinking. So, today, I want to touch on why would some of us have distorted thinking and or lean toward absolute thinking versus more rational thought processes, because we tend to think in patterns. So you might notice that you have the same distorted thought, which might be comparing yourself to others, right? That is a big one in today's society with social media, which I'm on right now, and comparing ourselves to other people in the media. It used to be back in the day, we only had a small group of people that we could compare ourselves to. So, although it is a human thing to try to compare ourselves to others, the truth is the only fair comparison is you to you. So, am I better today than I was yesterday? Have I achieved more this year than in past years? Am I reaching my goals? Am I closer to my goals? Have I reached attained the goal that I set out to reach? Have I made strides toward my goals? Those are really relevant questions for any human being to ask themselves, because it compares yourself to yourself. And that, of course, is a true measure. However, no two people are alike, and therefore comparing yourself to someone else is just a distortion. But in today's social media world, it's fraught with comparisons, and therefore it's fraught with insecurity, because that's what happens when we tend to do that. But today, what I want to do is I want to talk about why we have certain thoughts. So, why is it that if somebody, stranger, let's say, curses me out, tells me off, that I might feel compassion for that person versus somebody else in the same scenario might feel angry at the person? We tend to say things like, oh, he makes me angry. But, in reality, if you watch my videos, if this is not your first time here, you'll know that feelings come from thoughts. So that means no one really has the power to make us feel anything. It is the thought we have about that person or what that person is doing that causes our feelings. So, why do I have the thoughts that I have? So, for instance, in that example, I said that if somebody cursed me out, I might feel compassion. Well, that would be because I'm thinking thoughts like, oh my gosh, this poor person has no manners. This person has no idea what they're doing. They're very unprofessional. They don't even know it. Something like that. In which case, I would have compassion for them for not understanding that their behavior is inappropriate and for not having been taught manners. So, I would feel compassion. Whereas someone who just automatically assumes that they would have manners and that's not the problem, but takes it more personally, that person might think to themselves something like, how dare they speak to me that way? They can't do that. In which case they're going to feel angry, right? So then today's video is to question, why would the person, in this example, me, have compassion, thoughts that would lend themselves to compassion versus the thoughts that lead to anger? Well, the answer is my beliefs, our beliefs. The beliefs that human beings have are the reasons they have the thoughts that they have. So, if I asked you, however, to write down all your beliefs, you'd be writing until kingdom come. Because let's face it, we have beliefs about everything. And so Our belief system actually is made up of beliefs that we start with in childhood. So, all of us, although not really likely to remember things that were occurring when we were babies, some of us have memories as early as 2 years old. Some of us don't start really remembering things till we were 3 or 4. But the truth is, we're thinking even as babies, which is where like attachment styles come from. So, even as a baby, we are making our belief system. We are generating beliefs about ourselves in relation to the world. So that might be, is there, oh, if I cry, I get my needs met. I can't say for sure because, of course, I don't remember my childhood as a baby either. But we know that children display attachment styles. Therefore, those styles are developed when they're infants, when we're infants. So that would mean that we are actually thinking about ourselves in relation to the world. So if we have attentive parents who answer the call being us crying because we've got a wet diaper, because we've got an itchy tag, because we're hungry, because we don't feel good, right? So when a parent attends to the baby, when the baby cries, which is the only mechanism of communication that a baby has, or screaming, which is akin to crying, right? To let us know that they are not in a pleasant state of mind. Notice I said state of mind because feelings come from thoughts. So even babies are telling us how they feel based on what they're thinking. It's itchy, it's uncomfortable, or I'm wet, it's uncomfortable, or I'm in pain because I'm sick, or I'm hungry and my stomach hurts, but they don't have the vocabulary to be able to convey that. So all they can do is cry. Hence, we develop attachment styles based on the beliefs that we have developed in infanthood. And then that just continues all the way through childhood and into adulthood. So, again, if I asked you to write down for me all of your beliefs, you couldn't do it because you have beliefs about everything, right? So at the end of the day, instead of trying to really like sift through all of our beliefs, wouldn't it be easy if we could just find out what beliefs are not helpful and what beliefs lead us to the thoughts that we have that are dysfunctional or distorted, that in turn lead us to feeling depressed or anxious or any of these other feelings that we really don't want to have? Guess what? There is a list, and I'm going to go through it with you in a subsequent video because, as you know, I like to keep these videos short, sweet, so that you can get them on the go, get a little bit of new information on the go without taking a whole lot of your time. Because, keeping mentally healthy doesn't have to be an arduous process, it can be something we do in small chunks. So, with that being said, you can think about how you think in relation to stimuli and communications with others and kind of take note of the things you think. And then you might want to ask yourself, gee, what do I believe that has me thinking that way? And so, what we're going to do is we're going to review 11 beliefs that create almost all of the distorted thinking that human beings have. They are irrational beliefs, beliefs that perhaps we think are true, but upon better inspection, it becomes obvious that they clearly are irrational and not true. And that's great because then what you can do is, although it's really difficult to change a belief, that happens sometimes when folks get a white light moment, right? They go from becoming being an atheist to becoming a believer, maybe a near death experience, right? Or some other odd experience that maybe takes somebody from being a religious person to being an atheist, which are the beliefs that most of us recognize as beliefs, right? But really rarely do we have a instant change to our belief system. It can happen, it does happen, but not usually. So, the way that we are going to change beliefs is by identifying and noticing the thoughts that we have stemming from an irrational belief and changing the thought. And then over time, when we systematically change the thought, eventually the belief changes with it. So, next time we will talk about those particular beliefs that we want to look at and then change the thoughts that come from. So if you haven't yet checked it out, go and look at my cognitive distortion videos because that is going to give you the patterns of thought we want to take a look at. So you can start there. And then when I upload the next video, you'll be well prepared to start noticing which comes from the beliefs that I'm going to introduce. I am so excited that people are tuning in here and getting just a little bit of help for them to navigate the world in a better way, to cope with things that are going on so that we can feel better. And I urge you to come back. I'm really glad you're here. Hit the like button if you got something out of this video, and I will see you soon.